that really matters in the end is if we get to the truth. In other words, what is the truth? What happened? How did this all begin? How did this happen in our country, the United States of America? This is not a banana republic. We are a country that is based on the single greatest governing document in the history of man. It's called the United States Constitution. And if we shred that or violate that or abuse the power that is given to those enumerated powers given to very specific people, three branches of government, our judiciary being one and the other being, we have our representatives and, of course, the executive branch, legislative branch, judicial branch. And if we don't get to the bottom of it, which is now happening, we won't have a country. It's that serious. We have had 99.9999999% of this rage, hate, Trump media mob. They have literally been the extension of this new extreme radical socialist democratic party in this country. They have been in sync. They even share talking points. Manufactured crisis at the border. Everybody with a brain can figure out, and any ounce of common sense can figure out what's happening at the border is serious. That doesn't matter. You can see it is transparent that they don't care when they champion, I believe, but only against Republicans, bludgeon Kavanaugh for something alleged to have happened when he was in high school. Mitt Romney cut a kid's hair. He had application binders of women's resumes. Okay, wanted to hire women. But then ignore serious, real allegations of rape and violent sexual assault by a Democrat, the lieutenant governor of Virginia. But I don't want to digress here. So we have now had 2 days of information come to us. We had William Barr testifying before the House Appropriations Committee today, and he went before the Senate committee today, and then we had part one of James Baker, who was the chief counsel, the general counsel of the FBI under Jim Comey. And then we have another closed door meeting that was released thanks to Congressman Doug Collins. Let me start with the testimony, though, of William Barr before the Senate today. And you're going to see in the days, the weeks, the months ahead. And you're going to say, well, why does it take so long? I don't know. The wheels of justice churn ever so slowly. While everybody in the media with their tinfoil hat conspiracies that they have pushed this Trump-Russia collusion narrative now for over 2.5 years, beginning in July of 2016. And we now have 4 separate confirmations, reports, investigations that have all concluded the same thing. There is no Trump campaign, Russia collusion. What about Manafort? Okay, Manafort was taxes and loan applications. Farah Act had nothing to do with his time with Trump. What about Michael Cohen? Okay, taxi medallions and lying to Congress. Nothing to do whatsoever with the mandate, any evidence of any collusion with anybody. Now, what really broke today that has both the media and Democrats freaking out is that the Attorney General of the United States of America today confirmed, yes, that which we have been telling you is going on for a long time. And that is, and Senate Democrats, Jerry Nadler, are in full, complete meltdown mode. Oh, and as I look at the news channels, let's see, Democrats, they're talking about the Democratic plan for health care. And they're talking about Donald Trump's taxes on another channel. That's not the news today. They're avoiding the news today. They don't want to admit to their audiences how wrong they have been, the lies they have told, the hysteria they have pushed. You know, it's breathless coverage day after day, minute after minute, hour after hour, week after week, month after month, lying with these tinfoil hat conspiracy theories, you know, basically feeding on themselves, most often starting with anonymous sources. And they've been wrong. And what the damage, it's irreparable harm. Journalism is dead. They're not news networks. We have done more investigative reporting with our ensemble cast. I do not take all the credit here. We've done it mostly on my shows, but the Greg Jarrett's and the John Solomons and the David Schoens and the Sidney Powells and Sarah Carter, I can't name everybody, but there's not a lot of us. There's not. There wasn't. Or my colleagues, you know, on the few of them on Fox that stayed with the story, Tucker, Laura, Fox and Friends, or the great one, Mark Levin, Rush Limbaugh. They've gotten it. They're on it. But we have been unpeeling the layers. Here's what Barr said today. Under questioning from an angry Democrat, Janine, Barr confirmed, yes, the Obama administration conducted a spying operation against the Trump campaign. Well, now all hell's breaking loose.
So you're not suggesting, though, that spying occurred?
I don't. I guess you could. I think spying did occur. Yes, I think spying did occur.
Well, let me.
But the question is whether it was adequately predicated. And I'm not suggesting it wasn't adequately predicated, but I'd need to explore that. I think it's my obligation. Congress is usually very concerned about intelligence agencies and law enforcement agencies staying in their proper lane, and I want to make sure that happened. We have a lot of rules about that.
Yeah, we do, and laws about that. How is it? First story we ever broke, Solomon and Carter broke it on Hannity, March of 2017. So it's been over 2 years. 350% increase in unmasking requests in the final year of the Obama administration. Interesting. That's only a small part of it. Yeah, I think spying on a political campaign is a big deal. Barr said, adding that the Vietnam War generation in which he grew up was very concerned about spying on anti-war Americans by the government. Remember, the government spied on Martin Luther King Jr. That happened. That shouldn't happen in America. Should not have happened in America. And he says he told the truth. He thinks spying did occur. The question is whether it was adequately predicated, and I think it's my obligation. Congress is usually very concerned with intelligence agencies and law enforcement agencies staying in their proper lane. In other words, we give them the most powerful tools of intelligence, and they're not allowed to weaponize them on the American people. They're to be used to protect the American people. And the Constitution protects the rights of Americans not to be spied on this way. And when you go before, this is where this is all headed. The evidence now is overwhelming and incontrovertible. Hillary Clinton's investigation was rigged. In other words, and with the new testimony, which I'll go over, James Baker, the top lawyer, general counsel, FBI under Comey, yes, thought she should be indicted with the, what we pointed out from his testimony yesterday. Yes, classified, top secret, special access programming information marked as such was on that server in the mom and pop bathroom closet. 18 USC 793. We've identified a whole host of felonies she committed. If you want, everyone that's saying, well, there might be some evidence of obstruction in the Mueller report, you think the Democrats and liberals in the media care about obstruction? If they did, there's no bigger slam dunk case than somebody that takes subpoenaed emails, deletes them, we now know the exact date they acid washed Hillary's hard drive at the Platte Rivers Network so that they can't recover them. Forensically, you didn't bleach bit it, they'd still be there. And then, of course, have an aide bust up your BlackBerries and your iPhones with hammers and pull out the SIM cards. And he says, and the Barr says it did happen. Now, Nadler, oh, he's freaking out, sounding like a man whose impeachment dreams have gone up in smoke today. Congressman Nadler got into full meltdown mode after, in fact, this was confirmed by the Attorney General that spying did occur. And anyway, Nadler suggested he was misled. He's demanding answers. These comments directly contradict what the DOJ previously told us. Yeah, the DOJ lied to you then. The evidence is overwhelming, except nobody wants to see it. Now you have and the media, they don't want to have to admit that they've been wrong with their conspiracy theories. And as a result, Jennifer Rubin, is now calling for the Attorney General to be impeached. Now they want another witch hunt. And by the way, thankfully, a judge denied a request for immediate release of the Mueller report. You cannot give up sources and methods. You can't do that. We do have enemies. By the way, I gave a full, complete roadmap. You want to make sure that Vladimir Putin, a hostile actor on the world stage, and Russia, a hostile regime on the world, we can beat them easy. We just outproduce them with oil and gas, and we offer it to other countries at cheaper prices. That's how we're going to win that battle. Now, in this testimony today, they went over unlawful surveillance of U.S. citizens. They went over Page, McCabe, Rod Rosenstein's discussion to record President Trump. They went through the timing, how the special counsel aligns with the firing of Comey. They went through Rod Rosenstein, McCabe, Page, all planning to record President Trump. And we have all of this now in detail. They were seriously considering doing that. They have, Mark Meadows and Jim Jordan, you see in these interviews, were amazing. They were spectacular. Were they trying to remove the president from office? We have that answer. We have Baker never followed up to see whether Rosenstein moved forward with the plan to wiretap the president. What was that plan? Who were the two people they said supported the 25th Amendment? Or the conversations about the special counsel appointment, the same people who suggested the wiretap and the 25th Amendment. In other words, a cabal and attempted coup. Not by a lot of people, but they were certainly the most powerful. Not rank and file. And McCabe and the FBI knew about what Rod Rosenstein was doing. Here's what's going to happen. Real quick. You're going to see everything that we have been telling you now begin to happen. It's taken a long time. Some of you have doubted. Some of you have wondered. Some of you have said, yeah, you keep... I never said when. I said it's going to happen. We're now going to get criminal referrals. We now have an attorney general that has opened an investigation into all of this. We are expecting the Horowitz report on FISA abuse. That will be devastating. Uber report on leaking. Then we have the FISA applications themselves, Gang of Eight material, 302s, and real issues about how an investigation into one presidential candidate was rigged so that candidate could win, as she should, 100 million to 0, and not let the smelly Walmart people vote in Donald Trump. It's all going to be revealed, and there will be indictments, and there will be convictions. That's my prediction today. Let me tell you about the Black Rifle Company. The left says, the Green New Deal is bold. Or you go to a liberal coffee house and, I'll take bold coffee. It's not bold. It tastes, once you taste blackriflecoffee.com/Sean, once you try it, you're going to understand that's the best cup of coffee you've ever had in your life. Now, Black Rifle Coffee Company, this is founded by special op vets. They hire special op vets and first responders, and they donate to special ops and vets and first responders. Anyway, it is the single best roast-to-order coffee. They deliver it right to your door. Guaranteed fresh premium coffee with every order. They have the Black Rifle Coffee Club. Makes everything easy. You're probably going to want to buy Black Rifle Coffee gear. You pick the blend, the amount you have. They have crazy fun videos up there at blackriflecoffee.com/Sean. And when you drink it, you're supporting a company that thinks like you do. These are the brave men and women that protected us. First responders, vets on the front lines. You know what? Give them a shot. And once you try it, you're going to agree with me. You'll never go back to any other coffee. BlackRifleCoffee.com/Sean. For me, it's an addiction. I have to have it. It's not going to be a good day if I don't. BlackRifleCoffee.com/Sean. You get 20% off your first purchase.
Are you ready to get out of the media spin room? Well, you've come to the right place. This is the Sean Hannity Show.
Every day,
millions of music fans like you
stream, share,
and thumb up your favorite songs on Pandora.
And when you do,
you're shaping the sound of Pandora Now.
Pandora Now,
a brand new Sirius XM channel
featuring nothing but Pandora's most played
and top trending tracks.
Pandora Now,
Channel 3,
and streaming on your phone and Sirius XM connected devices and speakers.
This story is called The Ugly.
To show solidarity with the 99.9%. Some of my Secret Service friends are saying, really? You took off our pin for them? And a little intramural competition within law enforcement. So, you know, in this testimony, we had part one yesterday of James Baker, thanks to Congressman Doug Collins of Georgia. You know, today, part two, Baker admitting that he and other senior FBI officials wanted the appointment of a special prosecutor to investigate President Trump even before Trump fired James Comey. Before today, we'd all been told about the 8 days in May that it was Comey's firing, that was the one and only reason, even though Comey under oath admitted he could be fired for any reason or no reason at all. He served at the pleasure of any president he worked for. And that Rod Rosenstein is up to his eyeballs in everything, as I pointed out many times before. But the only reason he did, that we were told that's the only reason, after the firing of Comey, that's not true. Because in this new testimony behind closed doors, it's only a fraction of what's about to come. James Baker said top officials at the Justice Department and FBI discussed appointing the special counsel before Comey was fired. Mark Meadows told Baker, we now have evidence that would suggest that a special prosecutor was being discussed prior to the firing of Director Comey. And he said the information came from the Justice Department official Bruce Orr's notes, where he was having conversations about a special prosecutor in March of 2017. The firing was in May of 2017. Meadows asked Baker, did you have conversations prior to the firing of Comey about a special prosecutor? Baker, to the best of my recollection, the topic came up, but I don't remember a specific conversation sitting here today about it, but I remember it coming up. He said he couldn't remember why it was mentioned as a possibility. What would be the conflict of you all continuing your investigation? Meadows asked. Baker said, well, I think it was as the Russia investigation was moving forward and interactions that the president was having with Director Comey, and it was sort of on the margins of some type of conversation. I don't remember who said it, quite honestly, but I'm telling you the topic did come up before the firing. Under questioning from Jim Jordan. By the way, these two are rock stars in all these interviews. Now that we're seeing what was going on. Remember how many times I'd have Jordan and Meadows on the program and I'd say, all right, is there anything that I'm saying here that's wrong? Because I knew they couldn't tell me things. Nope. Am I over the target? Yep. Because we were using our sources. Many phone calls, me and my team and all the sources by all our ensemble cast were making a lot. Oh, well, Hannity, you're a talk show host. You only give opinion. No, we do investigative reporting. We do real reporting, too. We do it all. And anyway, so Jim Jordan, Baker revealed he was unable to recall specifically who had the conversation about the appointment of the special counsel, but it was a passing conversation that could have been with Director Comey and with Deputy Director McCabe and some other senior leaders. When pressed by Jordan on why Baker was discussing obstruction of justice and a special counsel prior to Comey's firing, Well, Baker's attorney intervened saying, well, we'll have to instruct the witness not to respond to a question that specific that pertains to special counsel ongoing investigative efforts. We didn't get that. Now, there is a timeline here about Barr. And, you know, the attorney general goes before the Senate committee today, the Appropriations Committee. And, of course, they don't want to talk about appropriations at all. Doesn't know if Robert Mueller supported his conclusion. He says doesn't know if Robert Mueller supported the conclusion that the special counsel's report had insufficient evidence to establish Trump obstructed justice. The comment came as Chris Van Hollen asked Barr whether he agreed with Mueller's assessment that there were difficult issues of the law. Barr refused to answer Van Hollen's question several times, saying that he would say more when the report was out. Barr said in the summary, Mueller did not reach a conclusion. Barr said that he and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein decided the evidence was insufficient. There you go. He said a redacted version, no timeline, et cetera, et cetera. All right, let me go through this, what we have today. So but we've had the testimony now of Paige Strzok, Nellie Broussard, John McCain, Priestap, FBI guy, Bill Priestap, and now we have part two of James Baker today. For example, let's go to the surveillance issue of U.S. citizens reported to the FBI in 2016. Anyway, with regard to Mr. Klayman coming to visit you, was it with regard to all the surveillance concerns that he had concerning the general fact pattern that we're here to discuss today? Well, it had to do with surveillance. It had to do with an allegation about unlawful surveillance, but it was, I believe, different from any fact pattern that we talked about the last time here. Anyway, unlawful surveillance of whom? Again, this is James Baker, the number one lawyer, the special counsel, the top lawyer at the FBI under Comey. He says, well, of Americans, including government officials. Yeah, I can go. And then Jordan steps in. Who was the client? He says, I'm turning to the Bureau to describe this. So his client was an individual named Dennis. I won't mention the guy's name, although it's out there, who I believe, to the best of my recollection, he said that the U.S. government contractor and in the course of his work had come across evidence of unlawful surveillance by the government of Americans, including, U.S. government officials, and wanted to give that information to the FBI, which eventually did take place. Jordan asked, I'm sorry, go ahead. He goes, during what period? He says, to the best of my recollection, that was in the late summer, early fall of 2016. Surveillance by whom? By the U.S. government itself of Americans. Do you understand what the general counsel is saying here? Committee, sensitive, unlawful. Everything we told you about illegal surveillance, unmasking, the leaking of law intelligence, he's confirming it. Then it was, Jordan asked, well, when did you talk to Lisa Page and Andy McCabe about the meeting they had with Rod Rosenstein? He said, I don't remember the particular date. I believe it was shortly after they met with the Deputy Attorney General. And this was in the days immediately after Comey was fired, which I'm drawing a blank on right now. Jordan says, okay, is it your understanding there were multiple meetings that Mr. McCabe, Page, Rosenstein had about the potential recording of the president? I know they had multiple meetings with the Deputy Attorney General discussing a lot of things in the immediate aftermath of the firing, and I don't specifically remember how many times this was discussed. Jordan asked, so to be clear, the firing of Comey took place May 9th, 2017, and then the hiring of the special counsel May 17th. So these numerous meetings and the one you had with Mr. McCabe and Ms. Page took place between the 9th and 17th? I believe that's correct. Then it goes on. Jordan says when they presented to you their collection of their recalling to you what took place in the meeting with Rod Rosenstein about the 25th Amendment recording the president, says, yeah, I took it seriously because my assessment was they took it seriously. Then he says, he goes on to say, Jordan then says, okay, what did you do then? We got the deputy. Well, actually got the acting director, McCabe of the FBI, and Lisa Page, who's been intricately involved in the case, in the Trump-Russia case, and now the FBI general counsel all taking it seriously that Mr. Rosenstein said he was going to record the president. Then he says, so I'm trying to be clear and not confusing. I apologize. I believe that Andy told me about the conversation about wearing a wire. I think separately, Lisa Page told me about it. And then Jordan asked, so these are just conversations in the hall? Did they stop by your office? He says, I believe in Andy's office. Well, then it makes sense because then it gets into the whole insurance policy issue. Like they talked about with, as we knew at the time, was McCabe, although they didn't say it. And then he says, well, did anyone do any type of legal analysis? He says, to my recollection, we didn't do any legal research. Seriously consider recording the president after Comey's firing. Mark Meadows follows up. So you say that this was one of several things the team discussed after Comey's firing. Discussed to do what? I guess my question is, was the feeling the president needed to be removed from office? I mean, what were the other things? Is there a list, a litany, long items you discussed? Congressman Meadows at the time will instruct the witness not to answer. His lawyer steps in. I anticipate you will ask us to seek clarity from our chain of command in reference to this question. Baker never followed up on whether or not Rod Rosenstein moved forward. The plan was for Rod Rosenstein to wear a wire. Baker, my understanding was the Deputy Attorney General. The idea was the DAG would wear the wire. That's Rod Rosenstein. And it was discussed before the firing of James Comey. They hated Trump, the deep state. How many times we talk about the deep state abusing power? A deep state coup. FBI, AG, Department of Justice, they rig an investigation. Yeah, he thought Hillary should have been indicted, but he was outvoted by everybody else. But he's the top lawyer at the FBI. Have conversations about the special counsel, go on and on. Conversations over and over again about the use of the 25th Amendment. McCabe, the FBI knew about Rod Rosenstein's plan. Well, when are they going to get maybe a warrant to do such a thing to the president of the United States? You know, Meadows grilled him on whether or not Rosenstein reached out to the cabinet members himself on the issue of the 25th Amendment. And they talk about the Page-struck text. And Jordan says, well, you know, Mr. Comey gets fired. We now have a text message from Strzok to Page. We've got to open the case now while Andy is acting. Sure looks like we're talking about an obstruction of justice investigation. Would you agree with that? Baker, I'm confused. I think it looks like as though they were talking about opening an obstruction investigation. That's what I interpret. Jordan says an obstruction based on the fact the president fired Comey. He says, yes, in addition to other things. They don't like this president. He was the smelly Walmart people's president. You know, one of the irredeemable deplorables. One of the, people that cling to God, guns, religion. FBI surveilling American citizens. Yeah, Meadows asked that question. Was it a common practice for the FBI to surveil individuals without their knowledge, U.S. citizens, tape them for investigative purposes with confidential human sources? He said, well, it is an approved investigative technique under the Attorney General guidelines, internal FBI policy to allow that to occur with appropriate predication and appropriate approvals. I can't remember the specific approvals. Then again, community sensitive, redacted. Anyway, then it goes on. George Papadopoulos and the FISA warrant. Were you involved in the FISA applications? Yes. Oh, all right. The Russia counterintelligence opened up in this particular case, and Page and Papadopoulos. They go, I don't know whether the country of origin that person had publicly disclosed, but the information had to do with Papadopoulos. Yes. How did we get to this point? Well, there had been a conversation about all this. Then the Trump officials, campaign officials, FISA warrant question. You can't answer that right now as to whether or not individuals connected directly or indirectly with the Trump campaign had a FISA warrant placed on them. Took no action to report Rod Rosenstein for what his actions were. Why didn't he report this to the executive branch? I didn't because I didn't think the suggestion, though it was operationally a bad idea, I didn't think it was an illegal concept. Why did no one report this to the AG? No, I didn't tell the AG. I believe he recused himself by that point. This is all news today. We don't get to the bottom of this, we don't have a country. That's it. The rule of law, our system of justice, equal application of our laws, equal justice under the law, the constitutional protections under our law, they're shattered, shredded. They're gone. All right, we'll continue on the other side.
Sean Hannity.
Two words represent the pinnacle in golf, the Masters.
Ball on its way, and it's in. And Patrick Reed has won the 82nd Masters.
This week, SiriusXM Masters Radio delivers coverage befitting golf's premier event. Hear special shows from Masters champions Fred Couples, Ben Crenshaw, Bernard Langer, and Craig Stadler. And each day, our live tournament coverage starts at 2 p.m. Eastern. Find it all on Masters Radio, Sirius 208 and XM 92.
Hey guys, Ken here from the award-winning podcast Today's Growth. If you had to choose sides, which camp would you rather be in? Would you rather have time and no money, or money and no time? Did you know that 95% of U.S. adults by choice have settled into these categories? Much more interesting is that 1 out of 20 people have built their life around achieving simultaneous control of both time and money. What choices did these 5% make that the others didn't? My friends at Income Store have shown both households and businesses how to build second, third, and even fourth revenue streams for the express purpose of gaining control of time. When it comes to helping folks create their next revenue model, both Forbes and Inc. recommend Income Store as a can't miss. Could your household or business use an additional revenue model that doesn't solely depend on you? If so, you need to check out IncomeStore.com. That's IncomeStore.com.
Prices are for base buildings only, do not include windows, doors, or accessories. Attention all business owners who rent or lease space, including storage space. Stop wasting your money paying someone else for your space. You can now save a ton of money and own your own building with the incredible sale prices from General Steel. That's right, now you can save as much as half the time and cost of conventional construction and stop renting space from others. Just call 866-96-STEEL to see how General Steel can help you save money. Our 50-year structural warranted buildings are custom designed for your needs. You can get a 40 by 60 foot building for less than $25,000 or a 50 by 100 clear span building for under $40,000. There's no wasted space and construction takes half.
Made clear that he favors not only pre-existing conditions, but would like action on a broad health plan. So he is proposing a substitute for Obamacare.
The one that's going to come after the next election, you mean?
The one that will come down if and when.
Well, let me be the one to inform you, should the law be struck down, millions of people who get their coverage through the ACA marketplace would lose their coverage, and tens of millions more would see their premiums skyrocket. In addition, if you're successful, 12 million people nationally and 750,000 people in my home state of Pennsylvania who have coverage under the Medicaid expansion would also likely lose that coverage. Am I correct in that, sir?
Do you think it's likely we are going to prevail?
If you prevail, well, you're devoting scarce resources of your department toward that effort, are you not, Attorney General?
We're in litigation. We have to take a position.
The answer is yes.
We
so
take position in litigation.
Invalidated, and if you succeed, that many people will lose their coverage nationally from Medicaid and 750,000 from Pennsylvania alone, right?
I'm just saying that if you think it's such an outrageous position, you have nothing to worry about. Let the courts do their job.
He's not going to. I mean, we will certainly. We get the report, I assume, at the end of this week, being next week. Yeah. If it doesn't have everything that we require to do our work, which is to say the entire report and the underlying evidence in it, we will issue subpoenas forthwith. and we will go to court to ask for a release of the 6E material. Now, it's unfortunate that he won't join us. Previous attorney generals have joined the Congress in that request in every similar case. And I suppose my conclusion is that is that he regards his job as working as an attorney for the president personally, not for the government.
Barr seems to put the ball in your court in terms of asking for the grand jury information. Is that something you would do?
Oh, absolutely, we're going to do that.
I mean, you as the House of Representatives asking the court for that.
Well, the Judiciary Committee on behalf of the House, we were empowered to do that. We would subpoena that, and we were empowered to do that by that resolution the Judiciary Committee passed a week or two ago.
One other thing on that.
What?
He kept saying, show me the grounds in which Chairman Nadler can actually do that. What are the specific grounds under that statute that you could use to compel, to plead to the judge to actually release that grand jury information? Because he was very cagey on that and suggesting there weren't actually.
Well, there are grounds. We have plenary jurisdiction to look into the conduct of a president, to look into questions of obstruction of justice, and those give us plenty of grounds.
That Gerald Nadler. And by the way, Nadler had a complete and utter meltdown because the Attorney General of the United States today during the hearing had the unmitigated gall to point out what is now obvious to anyone that cares about the truth, and that is that the Obama administration spied on the Trump campaign, which we have gone through in great detail on this program. All right, 24 now till the top of the hour. I'm looking at the attacks now. They cannot handle what is about to occur to them. This is going to rock their world and the media world, because everything we've reported on, every single stone we've unturned, every layer of the onion we peeled off is turned out to be more than accurate and 100% true on this program and on Hannity on TV. Everything the media has told you, everything the Democrats have told you, has been one big, huge, massive witch hunt full of tinfoil hat conspiracy lies. And that house of cards is about to collapse on top of them. Now, I went through the entire list of everything that is about to happen. Now, hopefully there's a line or two in the Mueller report. There was no conspiracy. We had a 9-month FBI investigation. No evidence whatsoever. There's no there to even quote Strzok and Page. After 9 months, they had nothing. That's before the appointment of Mueller. In the interim, we had the Mueller report. No evidence of any Trump-Russia conspiracy. None whatsoever. No obstruction. The Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, they concluded it in seconds. But what we do have coming this week are criminal referrals. We now know that the Attorney General Barr will do his job, and he is going to get to the bottom of all of this, including the origins of this, attempted coup in the country, an attempt to influence the election beforehand, and the attempt to get into an opposition party campaign using and abusing the FISA process and not telling FISA court judges, oh, the information was bought and paid for by the other political candidate. I think the judges might have thought that somewhat important, but they withheld that. They omitted that so they could commit their fraud on the court. And then, of course, it was never verified. Now we know it's unverifiable. How do we know that? Because Christopher Steele, he, under oath, said he has no idea if any of this is true, and a lot of it has now since been debunked, like hookers in Russia at the Ritz-Carlton in Trump's room. Well, urinating on his bed. Not true. Didn't happen. A lot of that, the media leaked before the election. And, of course, we have the constitutional abuse, Fourth Amendment violation of Carter Page's rights. Carter Page is going to be a very rich man by the time this is all said and done. Because what they did to him, they committed a fraud on the court. They denied him his constitutional rights and shredded the Constitution in the meantime. But we have the criminal referrals coming. Barr's investigation begun. We now have and await the IG's report on FISA abuse, and I'm telling you the evidence is overwhelming and incontrovertible. Then we have the leak investigation, John Huber and others. And I believe there are spin-off investigations with Huber and with Horowitz. We have again today, which I've gone over in detail, the release of even more closed-door testimony. We have the FISA applications themselves. The president told me last week he will be releasing them. They will be declassified. Gang of Eight materials, which I'm told will shock the conscience and soul of Americans about the abuse of power. That's coming out. 302 application. That's coming out. Then, of course, there was an attempt. There was collusion. It was bought and paid for Russian lies to favor one candidate after that candidate had a rigged FBI DOJ investigation when obvious crimes were committed and obstruction committed. Obstruction, you need intent. We now know from today's record that, the chief counsel of the FBI thought Hillary should be indicted. Nobody in the news talking about that today. Oh, let me see. I'm looking at the fake news channels. Not one of them talking about it. Amazing. This will come cascading down, and they are going to be exposed and held accountable, which is what I've been telling you. You know how hard it must be for all those fake news people to have to acknowledge yet again Sean Hannity and his team are right again. I'm sure I'm awaiting my Pulitzer Prize. I'm sure that's coming. Anyway, I'm kidding on that, obviously. Congressman Tom Graves of Georgia is with us. By the way, a lot of great congressmen there. Doug Collins, thank you for what you're doing. Tom Graves he sits on the House Appropriations Committee. He was part of the hearings that took place yesterday with the Attorney General Barr. Did you get the same feeling that I got, which is this guy is serious? And, with the big headline, as far as I'm concerned, out of all of this is Barr's statement, not only today, but what he said yesterday, that, faced with an undeniable fact that this collusion is a hoax, and that at the end of the day, what he's going to do is a deep dive into all of this. And I think that when we get to the bottom of it, there's going to be a lot of indictments. What do you think?
Sean, you're absolutely right. I mean, yesterday he was very firm in his responses. He was very resolved in his responses. And what came out of the hearing more than anything is how much in denial the Democrats are at the outcome of the findings of the investigation. And you'll recall you've reported on this so much about how they were defending and protecting Mueller 2 years ago and over the last several months until here recently. And now all of a sudden they want to subpoena him. And, if you think about all the redaction discussion, they want to see the full report, even though it will violate the law. They wanted the Attorney General to violate the law by subpoenaing him to provide the report in its totality, of which he cannot do. And he assured us yesterday he would not violate the law. But if there's one thing we know for certain they want to see redacted, if anything, the Democrats want the conclusion redacted, because it is without a doubt no collusion, no obstruction. The story's over. It is done, and they're in denial.
It's more than in denial. All right, we've got to take a quick break. We'll come back more with Thomas Graves, Congressman Graves from Georgia, as we continue the biggest abuse of power corruption scandal ever. Listen, I want to remind you, too, about CarShield. Look, when it comes to costly repairs, you need options. Often you're stuck bargain hunting for the best deal because it's $1,000, $2,000. That's a lot of money. And then you're going for the cheapest fix. Well, you can't put a price on your family's safety and security on the road. And that's why I have, and you really need to get extended vehicle protection from CarShield. And the great news is CarShield, they're going to make the process. If your car has an expensive repair, they will make it super easy. They'll cover the repair. You pick either your favorite mechanic, you pick the dealership. It's all your choice. They provide 24-hour roadside assistance and a rental car while your car is being fixed for free. And it doesn't matter how many miles you have on your car, maybe 5,000 miles, maybe 150,000 miles. Doesn't mean you have to pay high repair bills. CarShield administrators, they've already paid out close to $2 billion in claims, and they want to help you. So, you know what? Protect your family, protect your bank account, get the smart insurance for your car and extended coverage, vehicle coverage like I have, and protection, and call their new number. It's 800-CAR-6000, 800-CAR-6000, and mention the name Hannity or visit carshield.com and mention my name, Hannity. You'll save 10%. All right, carshield.com, 800-CAR-6000. And by the way, promo code Hannity saves you money. Quick break, right back. We'll continue. It's the Sean Hannity Show.
Final hour roundup is next. You do not want to miss it. And stay tuned for the final.
Congressman Tom Graves of Georgia. Now we begin the process. As I've been saying, all of these other events are all about to happen. And, you know, at the end of the day, do you see those people that abuse power? Those people that presented to FISA courts, you know, a political document bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton, the opposition party, a woman who was given a get out of jail free card in a rigged FBI DOJ investigation because she was the favored candidate that, as one FBI agent said, Peter Strzok, she should win 100 million to zero. And then, interestingly, she funnels money to a law firm, then hires with that money a op research group that hires a foreign spy that produces a dossier full of Russian lies to hurt this other candidate. And that was the basis of all those FISA applications. Are we going to get to the truth on that?
Well, I was really pleased to hear the Attorney General touch on that today, that he's begun that investigation, that look into what started all of this, because just as you have said, and I know, you know, Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, myself, and others have been saying, we have to get to what started this, because if it was started with a bunch of lies bought by a political party in order to influence an outcome of an election and use the power of government to do that, somebody must be held responsible, or persons must be held responsible. This is unacceptable. But in addition to that, now they are going after the president's tax returns, and they refer to it as the president's tax returns, but this is a citizen of the United States. They're using the power of the Ways and Means Committee to request and try to get access to personal tax returns and corporate tax returns and revocable trust tax
Congressman,
returns.
are we going to empower the IRS to go after our political enemies? I'm sorry, that would be a violation of one's constitutional rights. They have no right to this president's tax returns. No court will grant them that right either.
Right, and they're seeking that out, and we had a debate yesterday as well with the IRS commissioner as the Democrats were pressing the commissioner on that. Would he release them? Was he going to give them to the committee? And obviously we know that this has nothing to do with policy discovery or legislative priorities. This has to do with the attacks of an individual they don't like, they disagree with, and the outcomes of a Mueller investigation. They're going to continue this on and on again, and that's why what you're doing, exposing the truth each and every day, as you've done over the last couple of years, is so helpful, because this is giving us the opportunity to continue keeping the pressure on, and that is that the truth will prevail, and the Democrats are really struggling with the truth they've seen here of late.
Well, you actually had a good tweet yesterday. Seems like the Dems only want to redact the conclusion. That's pretty much accurate. You know, look at the Washington Post. They want to impeach Barr because Barr confirmed that the absolute truth, something we have proven over and over again, and that is that the Obama campaign spied on the Trump campaign.
Right. And I'll point out, you know, one of the questions I asked the Attorney General yesterday in the discussion about redactions and such was, after reviewing these 400 pages or so of this report, has his conclusion changed at all? Has anything changed his thought or his conclusion? And he just looked with a smile and said, his initial findings speak for themselves. Nothing has changed. This story's over as far as whether or not the president colluded. Obviously, we know he didn't. There was no obstruction. But now the new story does begin, and that is who was behind all this in the beginning.
All right, Congressman Graves of Georgia, thank you so much for what you do, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Sean. Have a great week.
You too.
Sound radical to some people, but we are going to create an economy and a government that works for all of us, not just the 1%. So to answer your question, we are going to do away with those outrageous loopholes that allow large corporations owned by some of the wealthiest people in this country to pay nothing in taxes. We're going to end their ability to put their money in the Cayman Islands under the tax havens. So what democratic socialism means to me is having in a civilized society the understanding that we can make sure that all of our people live in security and in dignity. Healthcare is a human right. All people should have healthcare. You can't get ahead in this country in this world unless you have a decent education. We have got to, as a right, end the kinds of discrimination, the racism and the sexism and the homophobia that exist. So to me, when I talk about democratic socialism, what I talk about are human rights and economic rights.
So when I say we, I mean that when we together are in the White House, we are going to create a Medicare for all single-payer program. Healthcare is a human right, not a privilege. When we're in the White House, unlike Republicans, we're not going to cut Social Security. We're going to expand Social Security. Elderly people have the right to live out their retirement years in dignity. When we are in the White House, and I'm proud of the role that I've played working with Al, working with many of you, we're going to raise the minimum wage to this country to a living wage, at least $15 an hour. When we are in the White House, not a radical idea, much less so today than 4 years ago, we're going to make public colleges and universities tuition free. I want all of our kids, regardless of income, to be able to get a college education, and we're either going to substantially lower student debt or end it completely. And we're going to pay for many of these programs by not giving tax breaks to billionaires and large corporations as Trump does. We're going to tell them that they're going to finally start paying their fair share of taxes. How stupid it is that you got a corporation like Amazon. Anyone here know how much Amazon paid in taxes last year? That's right, not a nickel. Well, that is going to end.
Will these people be able to keep their health insurance plans, their private plans, through their employers if there is a Medicare for all program that you endorse?
What will change in their plans is the color of their card. So instead of having a Blue Cross Blue Shield card, instead of having a United Health Insurance card, they're going to have a Medicare card.
All right, that's Bernie Sanders. Glad you're with us. News Roundup Information Overload Hour. It's funny. We spent all that time. We sent our cameras from TV over to Nancy Pelosi's district. Can't be but a mile from the, walled-off enclave of the rich and famous. She's worth at least $30 million. They say that's the low side of the estimate. And what do you have? We interview people. They say, well, look at what's around us. We've got feces and we've got needles and homeless people. She can't go to a rich neighbor's in their walled off, secluded community and help the people right outside their front door. I've said this so many times. The left, Democrats, socialists are always generous with other people's money, your money. And the fair share, rich don't pay their, excuse me. The rich, quote, top 10% pay 75% of the tax bill in this country. Bottom 50% pay next to nothing. 1%, that's it. Unbelievable. Anyway, joining us now, he is the author of 15 #1 best-selling books, his Killing series. He has, of course, the Donald Trump, the United States of Trump coming out in the fall. And, of course, BillO'Reilly.com is where you can find all things Bill O'Reilly. How are you, sir?
I'm the same, Hannity, which is a tragedy, of course.
I told you one story. I've said this on the air before. One time I said, you want to get a beer? And you said, I don't drink, Hannity. I have no vices. And I said, Bill, if there's two people I've met in life that should have a beer, it's you and Trump. And neither of you drink.
Yeah, Trump doesn't drink either. It's funny. I got a column on BillO'Reilly.com about Bernie Sanders because he's a millionaire twice over, and he is putting his taxes out on Monday. And he goes, "Well, look, I wrote a best-selling book, so of course I'm a millionaire." Well, I mean, Bernie, I think you should have just given that book away, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Redistribution, right? Why are you charging $30 for your book? I mean, this is wrong. I mean, people, in some places don't have $30. Give it to them.
Let me explain something to everybody, because this is true.
Yeah.
You live in New York. I live in New York. Okay.
Right.
We don't get the ability to deduct any longer because all of these blue states had a benefit that every low tax red state didn't have. You can deduct your state and local taxes. That doesn't, I'm paying more, but I'm happy because why should the red states be subsidizing states like New York and California and rewarding them for electing these high tax politicians? But so we pay about a 40% federal income tax because we don't get that state deduction. You pay in New York literally another 10% state income tax. That's 50. If you work in New York City, 4% more income tax. That's 54%. Add your sales taxes, the highest property taxes in the country. It's 65 cents of every dollar we pay.
But you know what? Your fair share. You're not paying your fair share. You're not doing it. Look, it's a big con. And here, if you don't believe me, read the column. But here's the crusher on the column. In the last 2 years, Bernie Sanders has spent, ready, $340,000 on private jets. Oh, wait, where's the Green New Deal? You know what Bernie's Green New Deal is? In his wallet. Wow. That's where his Green New Deal is. So I want to know what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez thinks about Bernie flying around on private jets.
Well, wait a minute, Bill.
$340,000.
We actually did a little investigative reporting on this show and on TV, and we found out that, she has the option of taking Amtrak and the Acela train. I bet you've taken it in your life. I've taken it many times to Washington, D.C. Oh, no, she takes the Delta shuttle.
Well, I'm not worried about her. I'm worried about Sanders, because Sanders is really pushing a very destructive and harmful point of view, and that is that we in America are not prospering economically, when it's just a lie. And if the reason that we have a record jobless rate and the minority communities are benefiting more than anyone and wages are going up is because of the corporate tax cut, which he would abolish immediately, slap on onerous taxes, and then strangle the private economy, Bernie. Now, if you don't have to be a macroeconomic guy to understand that, but he runs around, he doesn't walk the walk, and he does his stuff, and I just don't understand how people can even put up with it anymore. It's insane.
Let me go through the list. Just give me like 45 seconds, and then I want you to go off on all of this. This is what they're proposing, Bill. Number one, he wants prisoners to vote, Medicare for all, but you don't have any more choice or option to have a private plan, open borders. They want to take down walls, eliminate ICE. They want to eliminate the Electoral College, so New York, New Jersey, and California will pick every president. Then, of course, they want to stack the Supreme Court. They want during and even after, if you listen to the Virginia governor, birth abortion. They want no oil or gas in 10 years. They want to get rid of the combustion engine in 10 years, but you're guaranteed, absolutely guaranteed a job, wages, healthy government food, government health care, government daycare, government college, and in government everything. Then they're going to have a 70% top marginal tax rate for individuals, 90% for corporations. Planes and cows go as soon as possible. And that's what they are selling the American people. Can they pull that off?
No. And whoever the Democratic nominee is going to be isn't going to even try. This is just a madness situation. Most common sense people know that all of this is hysteria because the Democratic Party really doesn't have any problem-solving ability at this point. Barack Obama, you not like him, you can like him, whatever, but he didn't solve very many problems, did he? Did he solve the ISIS problem? He did not.
Bill, right? Listen, I'm a broken record. 13 million more Americans.
I know, but I'm appealing to the people who basically, they're not ideologues. So what did Barack Obama solve? Did he solve the border?
Nope.
Did he solve the economy?
Nope.
Did he solve ISIS? Did he do any of that?
Nope.
No. So it's all about problem solving. But what the Democrats are trying to tell you is that our entire system is rotten and bad and racist and white supremacist and all of this stuff. And I'm telling you, I think there's going to be a ferocious backlash against all this. And you know where it's going to start, Hannity? You know where it's going to start?
You tell me. Where?
May Madness. I've got the brackets. May Madness.
Yeah.
The brackets are who's going to be indicted. Okay? I got Comey. I got McCabe. I got Strzok. I got Page. I got Orr. I got three more blank brackets. All right? It's going to be May Madness, It's going to be like The Godfather and the Barzini family on the baptism of Michael Corleone's grandchild.
You're really aging yourself. I understand everything you're saying. Listen, this is what's coming, and I know the media is hoping and praying and hope that they get 3 lines out of the Mueller report that they will sink their teeth into.
No, but it doesn't matter. Barr tipped it. Barr tipped it yesterday.
He tipped it again today. He said the Obama administration spied on the Trump campaign. You know, Bill, I've spent 2 years of my life on this. And
I know.
With an
Do you
ensemble.
have the brackets, though? Do you have the brackets up?
I'll put the brackets up. We'll put Bill O'Reilly's brackets.
Tonight.
Okay.
I want to see Hannity's May Madness brackets.
Here's what we know, though. While they're fixated again, there's been 4 separate occasions where we have gotten the conclusion, no Trump-Russia collusion. All right. Now, criminal referrals begin this week. There's going to be 8 of them, but more to come. Barr is now confirming that he will look into the FBI abuse, the origins of the investigation into Trump, and said today the Obama administration spied on the Trump campaign. We have the Horowitz report coming. We have the Huber report coming. We have more closed-door testimony like we got today with James Baker, saying he wanted to indict Hillary. And then, of course, FISA applications used.
You got all of that.
Well, Gang of 8, 302s, and Joe Biden has a Ukrainian issue.
Here's the linkage to our first conversation. Once that happens, then the whole Democratic Party and its madness on social issues, on stock, on bonds, on taxes, on border, it all crumbles. See, there's a linkage into it.
Agreed.
And that's what's going to happen. It's speculation, but it's educated speculation.
All right, quick break. More with Bill O'Reilly, BillO'Reilly.com, for more of his stuff. All right, imagine for a second I spent the first few minutes of this show sharing my driver's license number or financial information or my social security number, with all of you. I know it sounds nuts, and I'd never do it, but when you connect to public Wi-Fi, even password protected public Wi-Fi, well, that's almost exactly what you're doing, because basically you're exposing private information that could be used by these cyber criminals. Now, that's why you need Norton Secure VPN, a virtual private network that will encrypt all of your connections, even on public Wi-Fi, so the information you send, you receive is safe from these cyber criminals that want to steal your private information, or companies that want to track your browsing activities, your app usage, or location. And by the way, you can use Norton Secure VPN with either your laptop, any mobile device, whether you're sending or receiving information, because it encrypts that information, making it unusable to anyone who's trying to watch your activity. Now, Norton Secure VPN actually blocks companies from tracking your online activities, annoying ads that follow on the internet, etc. It's simple to use, simple to install, and it's very inexpensive. Now, just go to this website right now, and you will not regret it. Norton.com/VPN. And by the way, it's only $3.33 a month. That's it. Norton.com/VPN. And it was used as an insurance policy to bludgeon a duly elected president and undo that election.
All of this stuff that you've been reporting on and then others have been reporting on is got to come to fruition, word of the day, fruition, in at least a month. It has to.
I don't know. I can't put a timetable on it, though.
Once it does, then the whole culture shifts. The whole culture war shifts. And all of the left-wing media on television, newspapers, it's not even... Does anybody remember from day to day what bombshell the New York Times had? I don't. I don't even read it anymore. It's all anonymous sources. But television, those networks are suffering now. Now. And you can imagine what's going to happen when all of their favorite sons got cuffs on. So this is a big thing that people should be preparing themselves for.
This is the biggest boomerang, but it's bigger than that. What I've been calling it, and I think we've had it nailed from the beginning, it is the biggest abuse of power, corruption scandal in American history. And now the rule of law is clearly going to be followed. And those people that you mentioned...
It's all on Barr. Barr has got to step up and be a patriot.
He's got to do his job.
Trump can't do it. Barr's got to do it.
Yeah. All right, Mr. O'Reilly. BillO'Reilly.com is where you can find all things O'Reilly. And, I like when you get mad. I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah, and I want to ride on Bernie's jet. I think you and I should go with that.
I'm with you. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
All right. All right, Bill O'Reilly, thank you. Appreciate it. 800-941-SEAN. When we come back, we'll get to your calls, the other news of the day, news roundup, information overload. Tonight's Hannity is going to be a blockbuster, 9 Eastern.
People bought in at a price they could afford, like 4% of income, that would work. And if you matched it with your employer and you had a choice over the way we wrote Senator Sanders' bill, I got to write the transition piece. On that piece, we had a buy-in over 4 years. I think most Americans, if you do your number crunching in your own head, 4% of your income, yeah, it's probably less than you're paying now. And people will choose it. I would choose it in a New York minute. And I think if you got to Medicare for all, what you're going to do is have economies of scale, which will bend the cost curve. You'll have all Americans have access to preventive care, which bends the cost curve. And then you need to actually get some costs out by ending fee-for-service, making sure our doctors can work on a continuum of care model like they have at the Mayo Clinic. Right. And make sure that you get the price of pharmaceuticals down. That means taking on the drug companies.
This is CNN.
All right, that was from the town hall. By the way, 24 till the top of the hour. Sean Hannity Show, 800-941-SEAN is our number. You want to be a part of the program. That was a full hour and 7 minutes. Last night, town hall, 2020 hopeful, New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. I mean, I'm looking at the ratings from last night in front of me, and I'm thinking, well, this has to be a mistake. It can't be that bad, but it is that bad. Fake news CNN had under 500,000 viewers for this town hall. 491,000 people. I will call it 500,000. Whopping 115,000 in the demo. Thanks to all of you, we always give credit. Our beloved audience, you give us the microphone every day and the camera every day, and we were the number one show on cable by a long shot last night, but almost just shy of 3.2 million. How do you get under 491,000? By the way, Linda's back. Where have you been the last couple of days?
Just getting my nails done, taking a couple days off, relaxing.
Well, you were doing kid stuff, you said. You said you went to a play with your 3-year-old.
Yeah, that was actually over the weekend. I took Liam to see Paw Patrol Live.
Say it again, Paw Patrol?
Paw Patrol Live, kind of an epic fail. So Liam, I think probably for the first 20 minutes of my 1 hour experience for my $100 ticket, spent face down in his blanket on my shoulder, hysterically crying that he was scared of the characters on stage because they were too big.
Now, we went to Sesame Street once, like at MSG. It was terrible.
It's just a nightmare. And the kids are scared to death. And the woman in front of me literally has a 3.5-year-old just like me. She looks at me, she goes, well, this was a genius plan, huh? I said, absolutely.
Why are they scared of because they love it on, I guess, television?
Well, there's two things. One is they're giant. They're huge. I mean, they're bigger than me. These giant, because this show is all about it's dogs.
If they're bigger than you, that must be huge.
Very funny. They're larger than life. But yeah, so anyways, all that's in there. And then, you got the music, which is blaring. It's just blaring. And then you got 9 million kids. It's just the whole thing. It's just so much going on.
And the thing is, they make so much money on selling the crap.
Oh, forget about it. I bought
the lights.
You have no idea.
The neon necklaces.
I bought this thing. I honest to God couldn't tell you what it is. The Paw Patrol has something called the Lookout. Yeah. It basically is like an airport tower. And on the top, it had this thing that's $25. I don't know what it does. My son is infatuated with it. So between the tickets, the parking, and the $25, the half hour we spent, 10 minutes before the show's over, Liam looks at me and he goes, Mama, I'm ready.
He's ready to go home.
I look at him, I go, dude, there's 10 more minutes. Don't you want to see the end?
Did you get him popcorn and cotton candy?
No, I brought my own healthy snacks.
Oh, good. That is awful. That is awful. Now, my sister Teddy, I remember when we were young, actually, I remember we'd go to movies, right? She'd make her own popcorn. I'm like, I don't want your popcorn. I like popcorn from the movie theater. I'm buying my own popcorn. She goes, no, it's much cheaper that way. I'm like, I don't care if it's cheaper. It tastes better when they make it right there hot.
I agree with you. There's something about the experience, but I'm a little weird about what goes in his body, so I bring with me.
My weakness, it was maybe like 3 years ago when
we know it's salt.
I got to go to a Ranger game, which I wish I got more time to go to. I grew up playing hockey. And the love. I mean, when there's a fight in a hockey game, which is less and less of, unfortunately, because you should hear Madison Square Garden when a fight breaks out at the Garden. Oh, back in the Flyers.
Ethan's he goes to all the games.
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody has time to do great everyone that works for me goes on these incredible vacations. I have a new employee. She's been there 6 months. She went to Aruba. I'm like, oh, good. Nice for you. I'm like, when do I get one of these vacations? That wasn't somebody on the
radio staff.
No, that was, Haley from TV. So I'm like, what were you going to say?
My brother-in-law is at every single Ranger game, every single night. On the glass. But you're right. The crowd, when they fight, we were at a playoff game.
They love it.
2 or 3 years ago, and it was 2 against 5 by the end of the game because there was so much fighting, and the crowd was nuts.
Ethan, you got to tell the better story though about what your brother-in-law wears.
My brother-in-law wears a Trump jersey, and he's known as Joe Trump in all of Madison Square Garden. Yep.
Really?
He has a reputation, dude.
Joe Trump, and it's a Ranger jersey.
It's a Ranger jersey, and it has the CC for Commander-in-Chief on it.
That's hilarious.
45 on the back of it. All the security guards love him. And he walks down the street of,
No, Trump is loved in New York. I mean, by the average New Yorker. Let's put it that way. I mean, the elitists that live in the whatever ensconced communities. I have no idea what part of New York is better than the next, but because I just am not part of it. And but the Ranger games, but they used to have it that the entire benches would clear. That the watch fights where goaltenders start fighting each other, and everyone's, oh, that's terrible. That's bad for the sport. I'm like, no, it's not. I was a big Broad Street Bullies fan back. Bobby Clark was my idol. And he had no teeth. And I was the only one of my friends that didn't lose teeth or get stitches playing hockey. And then sure enough, I start in construction. I fall 3 stories off a roof on frozen ground and dislocated my arm. Literally, it's dangling half my arm. I felt like it was disconnected. It literally came out of the socket, busted up all my teeth. I used to bond them for years. It was the best I could do. Then you take a bite of an apple, 3 of them pop out one day, 2 the next day. And I had to finally get them fixed.
Wow, you'd be like an honorary Canadian.
Yeah, I really would. It's like, for example, I would ride a bicycle. I was on a kick for a while, riding a bike outside. I just like to get outside once in a while. And everybody has a helmet on.
Like a Schwinn?
No, I love Schwinn. That's a good.
Or Vespa.
No, shush up, you. It's just, you just stop and calm down in there. And I'd ride a bicycle, and people would ask me, my kids would ask me, where's your helmet, Dad? Because I make them wear a helmet. I'm not wearing a helmet. Nobody wears a helmet when we were growing up.
I got so embarrassed. First time I took Liam out, I take him out, I put him on the bike. I don't know what I'm doing.
You have training wheels?
No, it's something called a cruisy. And so they don't have training wheels. It teaches kids balance without the training wheels. It's really cool. So they move right from the cruisy.
And they can't fall off it?
Correct. So they go right from the cruisy to a regular 2-wheeler. Okay, fine. I don't even think about the helmet. So I take him out. I'm in the park, and I'm getting a lot of side eye. A lot. I'm not popular at all. And I'm like, gosh. So this mom walks over to me, and she's like, hi. And I was like, hey, how you doing? She's like, is that your son over there without the helmet on? Because it's really unsafe.
Mind your own business.
And I look at her, and I go,
mind your own business.
But I'm like, doing like 3 miles an hour and his feet touch the ground. And I'm just like, a helmet for what? She goes, oh, well, I guess if you want to risk brain injury.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, what? The front door? I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Listen, I'm all in favor of, like, some of the new rules in football I get. You don't want to destroy somebody's career. I think, the brain injury issue is a real issue. Concussions are real issues. We have too much evidence now to back that up. Okay, that's fine. But you know what I don't want? To lose football, to take the edge out of football. And they're taking it out of hockey now. And it's just a pain. It's just, when we were kids, we would constantly drop our gloves, have fights, pick up our gloves and start playing again. And guess what? We survived. We're okay. I don't know. But I wouldn't let my own kids do it. My son played hockey till he broke his leg skiing. That was it.
I think the thing that we're talking about here is that...
Talking about?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
We're having a conversation.
Paw Patrol talking about.
We're having a little conversation. But in all seriousness, there are serious injuries. They need to be addressed. But when we start taking it to a place that is so aggressive, so egregious, where kids can't have fun anymore because we're micromanaging them from any injury.
I admit I was a helicopter parent, like everybody else. Here's
you're the worst.
I am not.
Oh, you so are. You're so full of it.
Here's the problem, though, is when I got out of school and I got off the bus, I ran inside, grabbed some food, threw in my hand, got my hockey stick, my roller skates, or my baseball bat, or my football, or my basketball. I was out the door.
It's a different time.
That was it. No, you can't do that today.
You can't. It's horrible.
You can't. I mean, you've got these predators everywhere. And I mean, it's so horrible. It's not me. It's the times that we live in.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely find myself, a lot. I was actually thinking about this the other day. I was at the park with my son and my time with my son is my time with my son. I'm all on. I'm hands-on parent. But these people are all in the park and they're on their cell phones and they're not paying attention. And they've done a bunch of those hidden camera shows now where they'll show a parent and the other parent, whether they're divorced or whatever it is, and they'll show how distracted they are. They'll have a person come up, lure the kid away with candy or a toy or whatever, and then the other parent's watching on film as their child is kidnapped.
It's terrible. All right, let's say hi to Angel is in Long Island, in New York. Big problem in Long Island. MS-13, the guy that was guilty of manslaughter, illegal immigrant, that got caught just a week ago. Angel, how are you? Glad you called.
Thank you, Sean. I'm a first-time caller, and my question is about the FISA abuse. When you go in front of the FISA court for the first time, the original FISA, and then you went back for 3 more, is it all in front of the same judge, or is it 4 separate judges? And why haven't we gotten their names to find out if they were Obama appointees? Thank you, Sean.
Well, I think that's a good point. I mean, all of this is now coming. That's the Bill Barr, the Attorney General, William Barr, confirming that the Obama administration spied on the Trump campaign. And what he's saying when he says that as Attorney General, you're not allowed to turn the powerful tools of intelligence on the American people. And what he's saying is we are going to uphold the law. And that's what he said yesterday, and he confirmed again today. And that's why all of this is so important. That's why I spent all this time today going over all of this. Let's say hi to Doug, Kansas. Doug, how are you? Glad you called, sir.
Hi, Sean. Glad to talk to you from the center of the country. I don't believe what you're telling me. I have listened to you forever, and for the last 2 years, you said everybody's going to be held accountable. I don't believe it's going to happen. We've had you and John Solomon and Greg Jarrett. Greg Jarrett wrote a book on what was going on. It's been out for 6 months, and Barr is going to say, "I'm going to look into it." Where's the whistleblowers? Hillary looking into her campaign. It was taken away from the rank and file. Where's the rank and file whistleblowers?
No. All right, you got to listen to me. I know you're frustrated. I know it's taken us 2 years of a lot of investigative reporting. And I can tell you, this small group of us, Dave, I'm going to forget people. Greg, Sarah, John, David, Sidney Powell, help me out. Alan Dershowitz.
Sidney Powell, David Schoen.
I mean, we have all these
Peter
people.
Schweitzer.
And then other people on the radio like Russian Mark, and Laura and Tucker and people like that. But there's not a lot of us. And frankly, we have done, I would argue we're the show of record on this. We have been on this longer and from the beginning. It started in March of 2017, when we began the process. Now, here's what's coming. This is what I've been saying to you. Take Barr's comments today, confirming and put it together with yesterday's comments about unlawful surveillance of U.S. citizens happening, about the FBI's, how this all originates, about the FISA abuse. Remember, we're getting criminal referrals. The Barr now has an investigation. We have the Horowitz report on FISA, the Huber report on leaking, more closed-door testimony, FISA applications, Gang of 8 materials, 302s. It's gonna come cascading down. It's happening. And I haven't been wrong yet. And that's why I would just ask you to please be patient and hang with us, and we'll get there. I promise you that we'll get there. But I want to remind you about MyPillow. Look, you know what MyPillow's done to me and helped me, and I know so many of you have written me thanking me for telling you about MyPillow, because like me, you're falling asleep faster, staying asleep longer, and I've told you about the new MyPillow mattress topper, which is amazing. Okay, so I figured out it can't get any better than this. Mike Lindell's passion now is to help all of us get the best night's sleep possible. Now, he has now created his brand new bed sheets, Giza Dreams bed sheets. Now, these sheets, you can't believe the difference. It is like you think sheets are sheets. It's not true. They're made from the world's best cotton. Giza now is it's only grown in a small region of the Sahara Desert. And the Mediterranean Sea and the Nile River. They all meet at one place to create the single best ideal weather conditions for growing cotton. Now, it's ultra soft, it's breathable, but also so durable and so comfortable. Now, these Giza sheets are available in a variety of colors. They come with Mike's 10-year warranty, 60-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Look, you're going to sleep in them the first night, and you'll never want anything else. Honestly, you'll take it on vacation with you. And right now, you can save 30% off, plus get free shipping just by using the promo code Hannity when you go to MyPillow.com or call 800-919-6090. Again, promo code Hannity.